It's no blood, no foul. 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 Emotions spill on the court when you proud. To rep your city, New York's the hometown. Playgrounds prepare me for them hard fouls.
All right, before we get this thing started and jumped off, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe and keep this channel going and growing. All right, so let's do this. This is NBNF Views, No Blood, No Foul interviews hosted by yours truly, Coke, and today's co-host, Tia. And today we're joined by Knicks fan, writer, and author of the KnickSet Anthem. We got Poppa Left in the building. What's up, Poppa Left?
What's going on, Coke? Tia, thanks for having me on. Pleasure to talk some good news. The Nets just went down last night.
Facts. Big facts, right?
Yeah.
It softened the blow with us getting bumped out in the first round. I'll take it, bro.
Yeah.
Taking it.
I mean, the city was never on the scale, you know what I'm saying? But it's always fun to see that Carlton Fresh Prince airball, you know. That was fun to see. But shout out to Kevin Durant, gave everything he had. But I just wanted to get that out there, that New York is still a Knick town.
That's right. Always will be. Always will be.
Right.
All right, so let's jump right into things, man. I like to get straight into the frying pan where it's hot. Give me the background on the making of your KnickSet Anthem, man. It's burning up. It's hot right now. How'd that all come together?
So I've been rapping for 15 years. I started rapping after my father passed away. Shout out to all the fathers out there. And kind of used that as a vehicle to get through that trauma. And then, I was only 15 when it happened. So all the growing pains of learning who you are as a person, I kind of recreated myself through hip hop and through the legends teaching me about life and what it meant to be, a man in this society. So I got through it, and anytime I see something that's going on, I like to rap about it. Obviously, I'm a huge Knicks fan, and this year I've been tuned into KnicksFanTV pretty much every post game, watching the games, going to the post game on YouTube. And we were winning 5-6 games in a row, and I had it in the back of my mind, like I really could write a song about this, because I'm all 72 watching every single game. And it got to a point where we were winning just nonstop, 7 games, 8 games. So then I decided after the 8th game in a row to write the anthem. And I just wanted to get into every single player, because it was a team effort. It was a culture rebuilding year, and I wanted to shout out everybody, even Elfrid Payton. So I wanted to shout out everybody. And it wasn't just Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, quickly. It wasn't the sexy kind of guys to go after. It was a whole team effort this year from top to bottom. So,
well, one thing's for sure, man. Nobody can ever question your Knicks loyalty. I mean, you show love from top to bottom, like you said, even to Elfrid. That's more than any other fan out there can say, bro, because everyone else had ether form.
What's crazy is that there were a couple pieces in that song that kept it from going corporate. And I spoke to a couple people inside the Garden, and I won't drop their names just to keep them private, but they know who they are. And the line about Brooklyn never being, the New Yorkers don't root for Brooklyn Nets. The line about KP's gone and we don't miss him. And then the third line that kind of kept it from going corporate was Knicks putting in work like Elfrid's burner account. Like I was trying to ingratiate Elfrid's game, but at the time when I wrote the record, it was pretty much set in stone that Elfrid was just the cancer of the point guard position. He was just not giving us anything.
Facts.
You remember when we acquired Derrick Rose, Elfrid kind of felt away and he was putting up at least his layups. And then, eventually it got to a point where Elfrid was just struggling from the get. So I tried my best, but at the end of the day, I was representing the fans first before I was representing the team. So I definitely wanted to to shout out, everybody, but I also wanted to keep the spirit of the fans. And Reggie Bullock retweeted it. So Reggie Bullock got through the whole song and heard that Elford bar and said, cosign, fire.
I respect it, man. It's funny with the whole rebranding of the Knicks and everything, and with Steve Stout, ahead of that rebrand. I was hoping that they would go with something that's like 100% representation of what the fans think and gritty, and not really try to push it, with a corporate angle. So it's a shame that you couldn't get that extra stamp.
It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. I feel like I know what I'll need to do to get that kind of reception. But at the end of the day, I really ran with, and this is just a universal thing. Like, Tia is an author. I've just met you, but like, I know you have your passion, obviously, with your podcast. It's really about connecting what you love to do and just doing that. I really love the Knicks. I really love hip hop, and those two avenues met at the same corner, and that's how this happened. And I'm happy with the reception it got. So, Go New York, Go is it's a classic. It's the rally cry, but it's from 1994. The co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks wrote it. I'm not going to put him on total blast.
Word?
But yes, that's a fact. And we need a new anthem. So I'm ready to go. I'm waiting for the off season, waiting for the draft picks. But pre-season we will have a Poppa Left New York Knicks anthem.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, so we talked a little bit about the essence of hip hop, and you mentioned your father being an inspiration, and like we said, that's what hip hop is all about. Things that inspired people back in the days, they brought it to wax what wasn't popular, what wasn't mainstream, and now fast forward to today, hip hop is arguably the biggest genre in the world regarding music. So let's talk about a little bit more about your inspiration. It's called the KnickSet Anthem. Clearly a spinoff of Dipset.
Right.
I'm sure you saw that promo earlier this early in the season with Dipset's Cameron, Joel Santana, Jim Jones.
Right.
Talk to me about how that influenced you, to pick that KnickSet Anthem name.
Right. So it's a good question. I actually saw that after I wrote the track, but it was almost like a reassurance, like an affirmation that was the right way to go about it, because I already knew I wanted to write a song about the Knicks. It was more so, how would I market it? How would I get the right phrase in there? So we always had Knicks tape, going back to the Mellow era, specifically that 2013 playoff run. And we needed a little rebrand, a little retwist, and I saw KnickSet getting love on the hashtags, and a couple people before were saying KnickSet, is it KnickSet? And I just decided, what, that's a good ode to an era of where I come from, early 2000s, Dipset, and I incorporated a logo with it. I got a t-shirt that incorporates the Joel Santana bandana, and it's got the Mars Blackman She's Gotta Have It Spike Lee influence there. So I just wanted to create something that was culturally relevant and an ode to the past and fully New York. So hip hop and Knicks fandom, I spoke about this previously on another podcast. New York Knicks and hip hop have a cross sectionality with it, with the 70s and Fraser and the birthplace of hip hop being New York. Our fan base is multicultural like that. It is hip hop. So it's like that with no other fan base I've ever seen. You go to a Knicks game, you're getting the melting pot. So the Yankees, you know what I mean? It's a little corporate, it's a little country. The Giants is divided up. It's a little corporate there too. The Knicks are for the people. And that's why the Knicks fans are loyal. That's why, because it's made up of that kind of cultural piece, in my opinion.
Nah, that's 100%. All right, so I'm gonna put the spotlight on you for a minute, man. I'm gonna put some pressure and some expectations on you. Could we expect a remix with Jim, Cam, and Joel's, man? That's something I know everyone would love to hear.
I would love it, and I feel like I sent it to the Heat Miners, the Heat Makers. I'm sorry, I'm thinking the Beat Miners. You know what I'm saying? Real hip hop heads will catch me on that Freudian slip. But I sent it to the Heat makers. It says seen in his DM. So he left me on scene, but that's a start. You know, I'm not trying to be too persistent with it, but you know, if the way I put it, I was like, if they were potentially offended by it that I took the beat or anything, I felt like that would be something where I would just lay down like, yo, y'all got that, respect. But if they did hear it and they liked it and they wanted to build on something going forward, like you said, they had the angle, Steve Stout and all those guys up there in Madison Square Garden. They know exactly what the pulse of hip hop and New York Knicks, how those two pieces come together. That would be something that I would love to do. But with that said, I did have Chuck D, a Public Enemy, reach out to me. Chuck D's a huge, loyal Knicks fan, always talking about the Knicks before the game, during the game, after the game. And we sent the record over to him, and his producer worked on it. So we had a remix there. We got a whole bunch of Knicks rap aficionados, whether it's Marlon Craft or Papoose. So it could be something with Cam and Dipset and Jewels and all those guys, Jim Jones, but it could be, you know, anybody, or it could just be me. So it's definitely going to be something that I'm going to continue doing because, like I said, I love the Knicks. I love rapping. It's an easy thing for me to do.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm gonna tell you about the first time I heard it. Like, you know, somebody brought it to my attention, and it was actually like, "Yo, you need to get this dude Poppa Left on." So, you know, I looked it up, and that was the first time I heard the joint, and I was like, "Yo, dude got bars." I was like, the kid definitely, he definitely could spit. I respected, you know, the lyrics right off the top, but I was kind of like, "Damn, I wish this was on an original track." Because, like you said,
Right.
you know, we had the Go New York, Go New York, Go. You know, we had the Robert Randolph Friday Night Knicks thing going. And, you know, I keep it real. I don't really care about the whole corporate angle. Like, you know, I watch the games on a telecast and I hear some of these songs and I don't be feeling them. Like they leave something to be desired. So, you know, the more I listened to it, I was like, I got past the whole, you know, jumping on a instrumental. But, you
Right.
know, like you said, I would love to hear something, you know, over an original beat coming that could be branded because I feel like you got the voice that can be, you know, a perennial, you know, Knicks anthem and speak for the fan base, you know, every year.
Yeah, well, you know, one of my favorite Knicks songs that they had, and I don't think it was during a winning year, but it wasn't a rap song. It was by an artist, a guitar indie artist called Tyrone Wells. It was called Dream Like New York. I don't know if you remember.
I would have to hear it, man. Yeah. I would have to hear it.
Yeah, I don't know. That was fire. It was like,
word.
It was like a unforced gentrified version of Empire State of Mind.
Oh, word.
Wait, well, I feel like I heard it. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to Google that.
Hold on, I'm gonna get the search for you 1 second.
All right, cool. Yeah, I gotta hear this, man. I'm sure I've heard it before.
Yeah, that's a fire song, but this is what I was talking about with the, you know,
the Santana.
Modes. You know what I'm saying? Santana, Mars Blackman got the chain on, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Definitely something that I wanted to rep hip hop in New York City at the same time. Tyrone Wells, Dream Like New York. You guys go check that out. That was fire. Yeah, but other than that, the Friday night Knicks, I always felt like the Knicks would lose on Friday night also. So it would always be like Steph with the towel over his head or something like Friday night Knicks. And I'm like, God damn it, why aren't they not signed?
Yo, I was blaming Robert Randall for the longest. I was like, yo, get him off of there, bro. Like, he's the curse, man. He's the curse.
And they have, you know what I mean? They have the spoken word angle. That's fire. I like that. But I just feel like it doesn't really attack the space that is people who like the Knicks and people who can rap. And you saw it came out. You know, I don't believe that, you know, Marlon Craft or Papoose is sitting back watching what I'm doing. But, you know, I believe in a celestial wireless. I believe that ideas travel like that. And for two prominent New York spitters to come out with that energy, I know that there's a bunch of people that can get busy. And it could be corporate. You know, it's easy money to see rappers who got bars talking about the Knicks. So you know, we're gonna push it. We're gonna have fun with it. That's the main key about it. Is we're having fun. Again, if the Knicks play like they did last year with a little bit more talent, you're looking at deeper playoff runs. You're looking at, you know, obviously with Corona, with the you know, vaccinations and people opening up, the Garden's going to be popping every night, 41 games a season. So the opportunities are boundless for me, you know. So I'm ready to go.
Okay. Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How long you been rapping, and have you ever pursued a record deal in the past or done any deal like a non-Knicks related music, songs, or albums?
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I've been rapping since I was 15. My father passed away when I was 15, so I started to kind of therapeutically start writing, and then I learned how to write to a beat, and then I wrote with my friends in high school. I just wanted to. I remember following my friend Benny Hill, who had he had speakers in his backpack. I'm like, where's this music coming from? And then I followed him to the football locker room, and we would freestyle, and then I would learn how to freestyle, and then I started taking it seriously, you know, 17, 18 years old, going out to New York City, hitting the open mic scene, whether it be the New Eurekan Beats Cafe, the Poets Cafe, or whether it be Avenue A, you know, going to End of the Week, Yo Dub. That was the circuit that I grew up in, which was a worldwide global chain of just theatrical Olympic style rap competitions where you would battle not necessarily mano a mano, but 1 against 5, like going up against the best rappers in the city. You know, I performed in front of Lupe Fiasco as a judge of my competitive skills and as an MC, a cappella, writing, freestyling, juggling with the DJ. So I've made my way through the ranks of New York City and New Jersey and Philadelphia. Those would be the 3 main spaces where I've made my name kind of well known within those underground scenes. And, you know, I've made projects, I've done thematic videos, similar in the sense of the Knicks video. Like, I'm a Jet fan, but I made a video for the Eagles the week before the Super Bowl, and I predicted the game in the video. And some of the things that I predicted in the video actually happened in the game. So it was a crazy video. It got over 600,000 views on the internet. So my heart is within making that Reasonable Doubt Jay-Z classic. You know what I mean? That's where my heart is. That's where my passion drives. But when you have a skill and when you understand the way things are marketed, you have to take advantage of opportunities when you get them. So definitely be on the lookout for more music from me. I'm definitely an artist, a hip hop artist at heart. So it's a good question. I'm definitely not a Knicks rapper. So I definitely I'm always thinking about different worlds to tap into with the art of MCing.
All right, so it sounds like you're you know, an avid hip hop purist. So I'm gonna throw this one at
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Give me your top influence, you know, as a rapper, the guy who inspired you and influenced you the most. And then after that, give me your top 5, dead or alive, don't matter.
All right, so the number one guy I'd say that would got me into my spirit and talking my story would be Tupac. Tupac definitely got me into understanding that everybody has a story to tell, everybody has a place of trauma to speak from, and just that speaking with that attitude, speaking with that grit, you know, and just truthfulness, spirits. I'm a very spiritual person, so you know, Tupac has a range of emotions. So being in 6th, 7th grade, you know, hearing this guy who, at my time, I'm born in '91, you know, so he was already passed, but he spoke with this voice of from the other side, but he could still be relevant. It was a very like, you know how KD said when Lillard was going off, it's a spiritual experience. What we're
Yeah.
watching right now, that's what it's like listening to Pac as a young kid, tween teenager. So I would definitely always give, you know, people come at Pac for not being the most lyrical or, you know, not having that status. I disagree with it. I'm not going to get too much into it, but Pac will always have that initial heart of that. As far as top five, I think, all right, I think there's no way I have a top five without, the Rushmore guys, in my opinion, which would be Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie, Pac. I mean, there's aficionados, there's purists, there's people who will throw guys who created the lanes for those guys to get in there, whether it be a Rakim, just guys who never had a weak bar. You know what I mean? Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One. You got to pay homage. Tretch. For me personally, I'm gonna throw a couple guys in there that influenced me for that fifth spot. I'll give it to Guru of Gangstar. I'll give it to Styles P and Jadakiss as a combo. I'll give it to AZ, Do or Die with Nas. AZ is the guy who I just studied. His flow is incredible. I'll give it to J. Rue the Damager. And I'll give it to, just a wild card. Also, I got to give credit to Lupe Fiasco's catalog is GOAT level. I don't think people give him enough credit in this conversation. But I'm going to give it to Obi Trice. Obi Trice was his Cheers album. Cheers album. I remember listening to that, and that was like my kind of like muse to like say, oh, okay, like your father died. He had his own troubles that he went through, and he was speaking from a narrative, a place of telling a story. And it kind of mixed with me at the right time. I was 15. I was getting into rap music, and I loved the way that he told a story. He was funny. He was real, authentic. It was the last piece of like real authentic gangster hip hop that existed, in my opinion. Now a lot of the stuff is for show. I like the newer guys though. I like guys like Lil Durk. I like, Chance the Rapper. I like Kendrick, obviously, J. Cole, but these guys come after I started rapping. So once I started getting involved in the sport of it, it's hard for me to truly be a fan of people who I almost view as competition in a way. So
that's the competitor,
Yeah.
All right. So, you spoke on New Jersey. It's set as your location on Twitter. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, and also,
Okay.
what's your ethnicity, and what was it like for a young Poppa Left, coming up and coming into his own?
So I have a rich, that's gonna be funny. I have a rich history. We're not rich, but Jewish family, both sides of the family. My father we passed away, but he was a rabbi. My grandfather was a cantor, which is a singer in the Jewish tradition. My great-grandfather was a rabbi. And where I got my name Poppa Left from is my father passed away. So obviously Poppa Left, it's a play on words, but it's also fittingly for Father's Day. It's for people who grew up maybe without a father or they had a father figure. So I feel like I embody that through my music, because I'm trying to reconnect with my dad and at the same time pass off wisdom to the youth. I'm a teacher as well. So my great-grandfather was a big rabbi in two countries, bordering country, Czechoslovakia and Hungary. And when the Nazis came and they rounded up the leaders first, because they figured they'd get the leaders first, everybody else will follow. So that's what happened. They took my great-grandfather. My grandfather ran behind him, went onto the train with him. They were 3 days traveling. They get off at Auschwitz, which is the most deadly concentration camp. And my great-grandfather is pushed off the train like a piece of luggage. And then my grandfather hops off after him. They take them in the selections. You go left, you go right. They took my great-grandfather and they said, you go to the left. And they took my grandfather and said, you go to the right. So Poppa Left. And I found this testimony from my grandfather after I came up with the name Poppa Left. So it has so many different metaphors and layers to the name, which lends itself beautifully to my music. But that's where I come from. I come from a place of survival. I come from a history of staying together and doing that. But also, I grew up in Yonkers. I grew up in Little Neck in Queens. I grew up in Clifton, New Jersey, and Flushing, Queens. I grew up in West Orange. I grew up in Trenton. I grew up in Philly. I'm always growing up, wherever I am, I'm always learning. I'm always living with that child spirit. I'm 30, but I feel like my mind is perfectly mixed with naive and reality. Like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to learn. So growing up, for me, it was just losing a parent and just trying to acquire as much wisdom. You know, people around me may have been partying, worrying about prom, or worrying about doing their first thing here, doing their first thing there. My mind was um, ellipsed that. You know, I was trying to get through what I was getting through, which was a real grown up process, losing a parent, losing a best friend. So I was always trying to acquire older people in my life to kind of to teach me. You know, maybe it wasn't them coming up to me initially, it was me going up to them like, hey, you're somebody that I look up to, can I hang out with you? Like I would literally put myself in the position to learn. So I have a crazy story, but I could go for days. But you know, I'm a New York. I'm born in New York, born in the Bronx, raised in Yonkers, moved around. My father was a rabbi, so he kind of moved around wherever the congregations were. So it was a very I knew always knew how to make new friends. I grew up on the altar. You know, I grew up looking out at a lot of people, not looking at one. So I always feel comfortable talking to groups of people. I feel uncomfortable watching others talk. You know, I'm a bad participant. I'm a bad crowd participator. I always feel like I can finesse this crowd, or I like the way he's finessing the crowd. I want to jump in and finesse the crowd a little bit more. So I'm a naturalized kind of public speaker, if that makes sense.
Talking about public speaking, I'm a little intrigued. You know, you spoke about learning and you spoke about teaching, and I'm gonna throw Tia on the spot. You know, she's a teacher. I'm gonna let y'all two bond over that. Tia, get into some of that. Give him some teaching questions. Let's
Uh,
hear who he's teaching, what level, and all that.
oh yeah. What are you? What's your grade or?
Yeah. Well, I've always taught pretty much young kids whenever I see them come up to me. So, but I got into that because I knew that that was a skill that I was good at. So I started substituting about 5 years ago in Philadelphia and Camden, and I knew I
In the
had a high
hood.
school. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I have so many stories. I could go on for days. But one story that really sticks out to me is I was subbing in Philadelphia, and this kid was drawing comic book, and I was looking at it from afar, and I was like, this is really impressive. And I was like, hey, bring that up here. And he was so triggered by that, like, oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for drawing in class. And I was like, pulled him aside, and I was like, yo, this is so impressive. I just hope you know you do not need to wait till you get to be my age to take this and make it your life. Like I always try to plant seeds in kids' heads. Like when I was at an engagement party the other day and I saw my bro who's getting engaged, his little brother was just, you know, living the life, having a good time at an engagement party, you know, feeling grown, 17-year-old kid. And I just grabbed him over to the side and I was like, bro, you got so much energy. You're in the prime. Like, don't let this moment pass you by. So I'm a big time life skills seed
Oh,
planter. You know
that's
what I mean?
yeah. That's what I. Well, I'm in New Jersey. I'm in South New Jersey though. I'm like 20 minutes from Philly, something like that. So yeah, I deal with special need children,
Right.
and in New York, I was in high school. So that's pretty much what I did with them was life skills, teaching them how to work, teaching them how to, you know, money, finances, just basic stuff that we don't think about.
Yeah.
They don't understand. So I was doing that, and then I was also a track coach as well. So I would be in school, in the classroom, and then after school I'd be on the track.
Right.
Very long days, very very long days, but it's very important. You'd be surprised, the things that you say to kids. It really sits with them because I've had girls, because I was the girls coach. They would come back after they graduate and they get in college, and they would thank me. Sometimes their home life isn't the greatest, and that's all they had was me, and showing them different experiences and teaching them different things. So that's very important. And I didn't realize at first, but then when I got my first girl, she came back and she was like, I want to thank you because you always let me know you didn't sugarcoat anything. You told me what I'm gonna get into when I leave this track, and I got her a scholarship and everything. She went, what school did she go to? It'll come to me, but she got a full scholarship. This is years ago, and she's doing very well. I still speak to her to this day, so it's like, it's crazy now because she's an adult.
Yeah.
Like, wow, and they just want you in your life. So you have to talk to them and teach them things. It's very important because they really don't have that structure sometimes.
Right. I'll keep this connected to the Knicks. I'm gonna bring it all together. But if you look at what you were just saying about keeping it real and not sugarcoating it. Look at the last year's Knicks roster. Look at this year's Knicks roster. What's the difference? Holding people accountable. This is a young team, a lot of young players, and people said Tibbs couldn't coach young players, but people really want to be told when they get past that initial ego, shots at the ego, oh, someone just told me I was doing something the wrong way. At some point, my high school football coach always told me, if somebody tells you something about you, you have to ask yourself, is what this person saying true? And if it is true, is it reflect poorly on my character? And when you build your acumen for dealing with life through that lens, you have nowhere to go but up. Even when you fail, I said a 100% failure is always a 200% success. Because yes, you're dipping down on the failure. You went through it, but if you go through 100%, you're gonna get rewarded 200% on top of that. So I always try to be real with people. I try to introduce failure as a means to success, and not letting people, be caught up in a delusion of somebody telling them things are okay when it's not okay. Like I had a fifth grade kid, didn't want to play basketball, hated basketball. And I was like, look, at some point, it's not going to be basketball that you don't want to do. It's going to be something else, and you're going to have to do it. And when you play this game right now, you're going to learn how to do something when you don't necessarily have the energy to do it. So at some point in your life, when it's real, when it counts, you're going to remember, I played that game of basketball and I got through it. And you would think a fifth grader, nah, he can't handle that. They can. You just have to introduce some level of reality at certain points. And I always tell my kids, I can't teach you like you're growing down. I can only teach you like you're growing up. I'll do it all day. I'll do it all day. I'm ready to go.
Let's talk a little bit about, you spoke on character, and let's talk about being tested. I'm not sure the timeline, because it seems like, you bounced around a little bit between New York, New Jersey. I know you mentioned Yonkers, Little Neck, Clifton, all these different places. Yeah. Let's talk about the Nets. When the Nets were dominating the landscape, I'm talking about the days of Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin. Was your spirit ever tested as a Knicks fan? Did you ever feel damn, I'm rooting for the wrong team?
Never. No, across the board, though. Across the board, whether it's rooting for the Jets or rooting for the Yankees or rooting for the Rangers, mainly the Rangers, Knicks, and Jets. I always used to joke when I was in the dating scene, when you know what you're getting with me, I'm not going anywhere. If I like you, I like you. I'm a Knicks fan, I'm a Jets fan, I'm a Rangers fan. And I'm a Yankee fan, but that's really that doesn't really prove anything nowadays. Well, actually now it might prove something. But yeah, I never even came across as a thought. You know what I mean? There's so much value in being loyal and really, really loving something, really holding true to something. What I was saying this the other day, because I was having a bad day yesterday. And the fact that I was able to get on the phone and call my brother Alif and say, where you at? Oh, I'm getting my truck done. I'm stuck here. Oh, where you at? Bridgewater. All right, I'm going to come because I want to go over there and have breakfast with you. You could fight for millions of followers in this content world. If you don't have that one person that you can hit up and say, I need to talk to you for a little bit, I need to rap with you for a little bit, that one person is more valuable than the million followers you got. So social currency is a real thing. What you get with money and all that is just access to who you get to enjoy it with. And I would bro, being out there game 2 when we won at the Garden, that was a championship. That was a great euphoric experience. Of course, we want to win the NBA championship, but like I said, even if I'm dead, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back, and you're gonna feel me. I'm gonna be there. My spirit is gonna be there because I put too much energy into this. So no, I would rather go down with the Knicks ship 120 years of my life before ever entertaining 3. I'm like, dude, no, none of it. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that Brooklyn Nets nonsense. Salute to the real Brooklyn Nets fan. And I say that singularly because I've never seen 2 of them at the same time. But they got like a Spider-Man kind of like thing going on with them. But yeah, nah. Salute to the Brooklyn Net fan that was heartbroken by last night. And honestly, I wasn't rooting so hard against them, and I would salute a New Jersey Brooklyn Net fan if they won. And I got a soft spot for Kyrie because he's from West Orange and he's in the same kind of age range as me. And I actually think behind all the flat earth and taking a day off, I think he's actually one of the NBA stars that actually gets it in terms of what's really important. And you could see by his choice words for whenever a topic of race comes up or anything like that, Kyrie's not shooting a fake shot. He's telling it like it is. So I salute Kyrie on that. Hate that he was hurt, but I'm a Knicks fan thorough. Like I've been here for Jackie Butler. I've been here for Quintel Woods. All these guys that come on the team and they have like a nice game, and I'm thinking like, is this the guy? Is this the guy that can help us on a 4 or 5 game winning streak? So I put too much into it at this point to get off.
Okay. Sorry, I have to check my chicken. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the Knicks. What is your all-time favorite Knicks memory? And at the other end of the spectrum, give me your worst Knicks memory.
Oh my God. All right. My all-time favorite Knick memory, it'll be 2. The first one is going to be the Allen Houston go-ahead shot. Not a buzzer beater, go-ahead shot against the Miami Heat, Game 5, 1999. I'm born in 1991, and growing up, my first sports memory, I have 2 first sports memories, and they're all in my living room with the oak cabinet TV. You pull it out, and the TV was in the cabinet. You remember those?
Kyle doesn't know about that, man.
Yeah.
I know about them. I don't have any first-hand experience because I'm not like 50.
He's the young buck of the team.
The antennas and everything. So
Wait,
I remember watching Charles Woodson play football for the Michigan Wolverines as a kid on Saturdays, and I remember Michael Jordan as a Bull. And I grew up, and that's how Space Jam, that's how I got introduced to basketball. So I also have an affinity for Dennis Rodman. So my first full year of watching the Knicks was 1999. And I remember that shot, and that was the first time that I was like, yes, like Allen Houston. So that was a big moment. Another big moment for me, it's a funny one. Mike Bibby's 3 in Game 4 to avoid the sweep from the Miami Heat. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but it was
I don't remember that one.
88,
I don't either.
it was 88-88. It was 88-88, and we were at home, and we were trying to avoid the sweep. Remember, Game 3 was the Friday night game where JR had the reverse windmill dunk, but we ended up losing that game by about 15 or 20 on our home floor. So we had to do the Play for Pride game, Game 4, and Mike Bibby hit a 3, and I was with all my friends, and that was such like a moment where I was like, yes, we're not going to get swept. So, and it was just funny because it was Mike Bibby. My worst moment as a Knick would probably be the Game 6 Melo block, his shot against Roy Hibbert.
Hibbert, yeah.
That was bad. That was a game where Tyson Chandler's acumen as a NBA center completely evaporated. Kenyon Martin gave us great minutes that game. But Roy Hibbert just completely demolished us that series.
Yeah,
and
man.
and when he blocked that shot, I remember turning to my friend and I was like, whoa, that was bad. Like it wasn't the end of the game, but you knew that was it.
It was a wrap. It was a
Yeah.
wrap.
So that was very bad, because I always felt like if we got that series back to the Garden, I felt like we had the advantage. We just ran out of gas there at the wrong time, and that one hurt. So that was my worst feeling as a Knicks fan, probably.
Pretty bad.
What made it
Other
worse
than-
is
other
like
than the countless amounts of years where we just don't show up. So,
that Hibbert thing though, it hurts because what made it worse is like a couple years later, the dude's out of the league and centers don't matter anymore. And it's like, we took a fall to like the last non-mobile,
Right.
defensive center. So it was like,
and also the
man.
Pacers made it a series against the Heat that year.
Yeah.
And if I'm not wrong, I believe that was the year they went on to win against the Thunder in 5 games. So, and also we were playing well against the Heat in the regular season that year.
Facts.
So it was our opportunity. Remember when we got Carmelo Anthony, it was sold as a consistent playoff appearance, consistent round winning push against LeBron. That's the way it was sold to us.
Yeah.
And after that year, we had the brain trust that thought, all right, it's all good. We're just an Andrea Bargnani away from making this a dynasty.
Oh my God.
So unfortunately, that's the direction that, took us all the way down. So the block is the moment where it all went bad, so up until this past season. So
Okay. So what were your expectations for this 2021 Knicks season? Well, before it began.
I definitely didn't think we were going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I thought that Tibbs coming in here, and I thought RJ, I didn't expect anything from Randall. I was one of the people when he had like one good game in the beginning of the year, I was like, trade him for a first round pick. Get another quickly situation in here. Like take him as Marcus Morris and trade him away as soon as you can for a first round pick. But then, he just had an efficient game, it seemed, every game. I think he played 70 games this year. He missed maybe 2 games, and I feel like he had maybe 1 or 2 really bad games. Every other game was he did his job or he won us the game. So I didn't expect that out of Randall at all. I've always been a big fan of RJ Barrett. So my thing coming into the season was to build our core of our young players, to see what we had out of RJ. It flipped the responsibilities with Obi and Quickly. People forget Quickly at the beginning of the year was our lightning rod. Like he was the source of watching the game, was seeing how good Emmanuel Quickly might be, and then it kind of tamed itself. So I just wanted to see competitive basketball. I wanted, and I got that. Even at 5-8, when Austin Rivers had a great moment for this team, I felt, where he said, I've been on bad teams before. And you got to understand this. Austin Rivers is the son of Doc Rivers. He knows everything about the NBA. He said, I've been on bad teams before. I've been around them. This is not one of them. And he said that at 5-8. Okay. So that was a good sign for me. And, we just kept hovering around 500, and then we made that push. So I just worry, Tia. I worry about the way this season ended with that win streak and who our personnel is.
Yeah.
And us being on the map and people turning up against us, not taking us lightly. I worry about our fan base creating fourth seed expectations. A lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference, whether it be the Bucks, the Sixers, the Nets, the Hawks, even the Celtics, they're in position to have run it back seasons. Take away injuries, those teams are set for the now. The Knicks still are a team that has a lot of youth. They have a lot of cap space that they can't really bring in a game-changing player. So I just want the goals to be pretty much the same way in. Push towards the playoffs. I know people are going to hate that, but I just really think like we cannot look at 41 wins and you know, retro to 72 game season. In an 82 game season, we can't look at, you know, being 20 games over 500 as the standard. I just want RJ, I want Quickly, I want Obi, I want Mitch, and I want, you know, guys to just improve and keep building that culture and making us an attractive place to play. So that would be my honest take and my worry about our fan base creating expectations above the talent that's on our roster.
Yeah, I want Mitch to come back for sure.
Yeah, we missed him. We
Yeah.
missed Mitch, and
Yeah.
Mitch is a weird guy on social media, but
You're right. Yeah, he is.
yeah, but you know, every time he makes a post, I'm like, damn, I don't want to trade this guy because I just want to see him and Quickly. I don't want to see Quickly gone. I don't want to see Mitch gone. I'm not a big fan of emptying the farm right now for Lillard or Doncic.
I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said the same thing.
Let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes.
Let me just get this clear. So you don't want to raise expectations. You think things should be kind of leveled off where they are for now,
exactly,
and take a wait and see approach.
And I honestly don't think here's the thing. There's two ways to play it. The one way to play it is understand that the goalposts were moved and it was house money, and you can just build off of that experience and pretty much run it back with the same strategy. Maybe not with the same players. You can attack the point. Obviously, we got to attack the point guard position. We got to get better at the wing. These are things that are, you know, we have to do in order to improve upon our team. My thing was the wins and losses in the NBA, getting hot for 9 games. I hope people understand that people are not coming into this arena next year taking us lightly. You know, the Hawks exposed us. We do not have the scoring to keep up with elite teams. And like I said, the Hawks, the Nets, the Bucks, the Sixers, those are teams that are ready to run it back next year. You know, there are other teams that are kind of level with us in that 5 to 8 range, and they're going to continue to get better. What we do in the offseason will determine, are we a team that can push for that 4 seed, or are we leveling out at 7th, 8th seed? But in the event that we do level out at the 7th seed, I still think that's sustainable winning progress, because it's not Donovan Mitchell time. It's not Damian Lillard time. It's not Luka time. It's RJ time. It's Randall time. It's Quickly Obi time. And that's what people need to understand about this roster. It's as far as those guys bring us. So if the growing pains land us at the 7th seed, you're not going to get a complaint from me. As long as, you know, things are normal. You know, if Elfrid Payton is starting 68 games next year, we're going to have a problem. So, yeah. So I look, you know, point guard, wing. Can we improve upon that without mortgaging our future? As long as we do that and we finish anywhere between 8th and 4th next year, I'll take that. You know, we're not a championship team. As long as the Nets and the Sixers and the Bucks and even the Hawks are stacking with their stars, we don't have the personnel to score with the greats right now. We just don't.
All right, we're gonna get into the offseason, you know, in a little bit. But for right now, you mentioned Julius Randle time. So I think this is the opportune time to talk about him a little bit. Give me your thoughts on Julius Randle's debut playoff, you know, appearance where he shot 27% from the field overall against the Hawks. How did you feel about that outing? Does that affect, you know, how confident you are in him being, you know, maybe a number 1 guy on a playoff team?
I don't really get caught up in this defining a player based off the rank he is on his roster. Look, let's put it all in perspective. The Knicks are a bottom 4 seed team without Julius Randle. And that's being generous. I'm being very generous right there. They are a bottom 4 seed. They're in there with Orlando and Detroit and Cleveland. You know, that's who they are personnel-wise without having the charge, the engine that runs your offense. With that said, his performance in the playoffs was an utter failure. There was no nice things I could say about it. I feel like Julius is the type of guy that in the moment cannot handle the adjustment. He needs the off season. He needs the gym work. He needs, like I said, he just needs off season and gym work and perspective and tutelage and tips. In the moment, I felt like he tried to compensate for his lack of production and was not working with what the Hawks were giving him. I felt like he was trying to make the pass to the score instead of the pass to the open man. I felt like there was times, you saw it in game 5, he had a 2-man game with Derrick Rose, and he saw he didn't have the right spacing. He worked it with a dribble handoff, came off a pick and pop, had his open shot, and then just got deer in the headlights, then started dancing with Gallo and put up a bad shot. So he got into some bad habits. It didn't help that we created the F. Trae Young that kind of got reversed back on him in Atlanta. I was there in Atlanta. That was the loudest.
Overrated.
That was the loudest they got. And, you know, I've been friends with a couple Atlanta fans in Instagram since my time in Atlanta. And I don't want to, they do have some diehard fans. And I will group them. I've seen diehard Atlanta fans together in the same space at the same time. But they're another cornball franchise of a fan base. They had an Usher dance off. That was the most together the crowd was during the Usher dance off. I'm not a fan of mascots in professional sports. I feel like that's for AAA, G League, you know, college. You
College,
know, I'm not a fan of Harry the Hawk. You know, they had Dominique Wilkins couldn't get into a restaurant establishment. It's just a problem there in Atlanta that they got to work on. So with that said, you know, I just thought Julius just had a tough go of it. I think next year you will see a number 1 player in a playoff game. You will see him rattle off 30, 35 points. I do think with an offseason and the right pieces around him, does that mean that Julius Randle can carry a team minus its 2 best players to a 53-minute performance like Kevin Durant? Absolutely not. But I think the space between a number 1 player and a number 2 and a number 3 is a little bit overrated. Is Jimmy Butler afraid of the lights because he got swept this year? Sometimes you run into a bad matchup and you can't adjust mid-series. So that does happen, you know. Is Donovan Mitchell afraid of the lights because he couldn't beat a Kawhi-less Clipper team? I don't think so. You just run into a hot team. The Hawks were the hot team. And you look at, I'm putting my money on the Hawks tonight. They're getting disrespected at plus 240 in a toss-up game. So I'm putting my money on the Hawks tonight. They're a dangerous team. The Knicks just didn't have the firepower to match Bogdan, Danilo, Herter, Lou Williams, just shooters all around the court. And we just don't have that. So it's
bad matchup.
Yeah, it wasn't a good matchup.
You got Trey getting into the paint. He could draw from half court. You got him surrounded by shooters.
Collins,
and then you got Capella
finishing.
Capella was killing us.
Capella definitely did. He definitely did. All right, so I'm going to ask you, who's more toxic, Knicks fans or Knicks media?
Knicks media. Knicks media is toxic. They create it. Yeah. They create it because they know. Here's the thing. Here, let me just explain this real quick. Any fan base that is passionate is going to be upset when the team loses. At the same token, when that team is losing and they're coming back, you're not going to want the lax fan base. You're going to want the raucous fan base. You're going to want people that will root for competition and pat you on the back. Look, Patrick Ewing's a hero in this city. You know what I mean? He didn't win a ring, but he's a hero. You know what I mean? So I don't think that the Knicks' toxic nature can get into to defeat who they are at the root, which is just a passionate fan base. Yes, there are toxic members of our fan base who are just disgruntled and angry, and their takes are just out of this world nonsense. But I do think that the Knicks media knows this about our fan base and knows that they can activate the toxic Knicks fan, juxtapose them against the loyal, supportive fan, and get us going crazy in the threads of their articles that they wrote. How are you doing, Mark Berman? But that's pretty much that's pretty much what they do. That's pretty much what they do. So look at Knicks Twitter though. Look at you guys. You guys are creating the platforms to invite people into a balanced space where we do understand what we're working with, what we're working against, and giving a complete perspective of what's going on. So when the Knicks are going good, they're the most loyal, celebratory fan base that there is. When the Knicks are going bad, you will see some leaks in the universal reaction to what's going on. You will see people that are get this guy, like Randall's a perfect guy. Randall right now is the polarity of Julius Randle is people are on one side of the fence or on the other right now. But even so, most people understand that we're not here without Julius. And I guess they compartmentalize his failures by saying he's not a number one. So I don't think that the Knicks, I'll tell you who's toxic though. The Sixers fans are toxic. The Sixers fans are toxic fans.
Football and basketball.
Sports fans are very toxic fans. And that's why I'm betting on the Hawks tonight, because I don't really view it as a home court advantage. Because the second that this team is up by a lot or down by a lot, Game 5 is already implanted in those fans' heads. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they're going to turn on Philly the second they get. And the thing about Philadelphia sports fans, great fan base for the Eagles. Can't question it. Amazing fan base. They're a little on the other sports. So they just come with this energy of anger, and they don't really have that, rally around support for their Sixers or their Flyers. They're kind of like, when they're good, let's show up in droves and let's be the passionate Philly fan. But when there's a leak in the armor there, they'll turn on them fast. So I don't feel like Knicks fans at the end of the Game 5 or the cheers or boos.
There was booze, right?
No. At the end of I'm talking about our Game.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So the Knicks are smart. Before anything, the Knicks are an intelligent basketball fan base, and that trumps any type of extreme euphoric loyalty or extreme toxic behavior. At the end of the day, we can have an intelligent basketball conversation. Whatever your opinions are, they may land you in the euphoria stage or they may land you in the toxic stage, but at the end of the day, we can still have a balanced conversation. So the Knicks media knows exactly what they're working with. So they're trying to pit us against each other, trying to throw players in our hot stove that don't really are anywhere close to our kitchen yet. And they know what they're doing, but we're smartening up. We know we're playing on it. You know what I mean? We make jokes about it in Knicks Twitter now. So it's like, what's the next rumor today? Or they have mutual interest, so that's a guarantee that we're not going to get this player. So, the Knicks fan base is waking up to the okie doke if that's the case.
I want to piggyback off that fan behavior conversation. Being that you brought up Philly, let's talk about it in terms of the Knicks. Like, I saw a video circulating in the playoffs where, fans of the other team were coming outside the garden getting heckled. Do you feel like it comes with the territory? If the enemy enters into your home court, your building, they're wearing, fan attire. They're wearing attire of the other team on that team's home court. Is it embarrassing if Knicks fans give those guys a hard time? Or is that fair game? What's your thoughts on that?
It's gotta be in the perspective of how that fan is acting, or what jersey is that fan coming in with. And if he's a Hawks fan, right? I do not give a damn about you. I'm sorry. Like here's the thing. People make a big deal about the Trae Young thing. It could have been Miles Turner. If it was the best player on the Pacers, whoever it was that we were playing in that first round series. We're coming off of the pandemic, no social gatherings for a year and a half. We're coming off of 8 years of no playoffs, and it's the Knicks fans. It was like this big pot of just frustration and an anger, that was just going to be released at one time. So, if it's the Hawks, I don't care. If it's the Celtics, the Sixers, the Nets, you know what I mean? The things that are relevant to New York rivalries, and it depends how that person's acting. If it's a kid, a father and a son, or a father and a daughter, and they're going to a game, and you're heckling them off the basis of they're not rooting for your team, and they have the money to come into your building, and you're crazy. You're out of your mind. Like, you don't heckle someone who's defenseless. You know what I'm saying? Like, a Hawks fan is defenseless. You know what I mean? They have no history. They're mainly just a transplant city of basketball fans. They don't know who Dion Glover and Jason Terry are. They don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? You can't heckle. I heckled Hawks fans in Atlanta, and I was properly lambasted for it by Anthony Donahue. He hit me up and he was like, "Yo, dude, this is crazy. This is making us look crazy. You need to watch it." So I took on thousands of Hawks fans at once. It was like 300 because I felt like I could win that battle. But you gotta pick your battles wisely. You know what I mean? If it's a Nets fan talking shit and he acts like he has the keys to the city because he has a jump around video with Andrew Yang, then he needs to be put in his place. He needs to be put in his place. And that's what it comes down to. It's time and place,
Wow.
Is Trae Young, has he reached Reggie Miller villain status yet, man?
It'll come down, like I said, it'll come down to, I believe that the Hawks, and I've ingratiated myself with the Hawks fans a little bit, and I am rooting for the Hawks tonight because I'll say this, they reacted beautifully to what we gave them. Let's just be unbiased about it. You could talk about the way Trae plays the game and he's a flopper. Look, that's a chronic problem with the NBA superstar. That's happening all over the game. I can't blame Trae Young for taking advantage of the way the game is being called at the end of the day. I hate it.
Quickly does it.
Yeah, I hate it. I think it's the grossest thing in competitive sport, other than cheating. But it's just, I don't like it, but it's the way that the game is played. But look at Capella. Capella said, "Yeah, we're sending you on vacay." We activated them. I was in the bar in Game 3 in Atlanta, and I was going crazy. And then the fans were yelling back at me, and I was like, "I created you. I made you passionate." And I feel like that's the way Atlanta reacted to the Trae Young thing, and they took it on the chin, and they reacted well to it. And look, they're going into Philly, and they gave Philly the business in Game 5. So I think if Atlanta can keep their core, which I'm not really sure what their core is beyond Trae Young. I think they have a couple free agents, whether it's Bogdan or Danilo, and whether they'll sign Collins and bring back Capella. You don't know these things, but if Trae can keep shooters with him, Atlanta's going to be in the playoffs for the next 5 years. I think we're going to be in the playoffs for the next 5 years. I would like for us to play Brooklyn. I would like for us to play Philly, but at some point you got to look at Atlanta and say this is a team on the rise that'll be there forever. And look, Trae Young and his dad will be there front court, and they are not afraid of Spike Lee. They're not afraid of 18,000 or 19,000 or whoever fans we're going to put in there. I just always felt, walking away from this series, I always have this feeling of you will get yours. You will get yours one day. I always look at LeBron when he would do his like that shit. I always looked at him like, you're gonna get yours one day, LeBron. Keep gloating. And he's lost half of his championships. You know what I mean? You play the game in a sneaky way. You go around, you acquire players, and you have off-season meetings. You'll get yours. So I think the Knicks just have to keep building it the right way. And if it comes down to Trae Young being our arch enemy in a meaningful playoff series, you would hope that we have someone that can clamp him down. You would hope that you don't have Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, and Reggie Bullock playing defense on him. You would hope that you would have.
Hold on. Are you trying to sneak in that Frank was the answer, man?
No, I don't think Frank was the answer. I think that at the end of the day, you have to pick what you want this guy to do to you. You got to pick what you want. You cannot play defense on Trae Young and give him everything. You have to say, look, if you're going to shoot the lights out of the ball, go ahead and shoot the lights out of it. If you're going to drive and get twos, you're going to drive and get twos. If we're just going to let you go left all day, let you go left. It almost seems, and you saw it with the Bucks last night, and yes, they won. Dumbfounding decisions by these coaches. Like, let me just break down something last night's game real quick. End of the first quarter, Kevin Durant is 26-25. He gets the ball on an island with Drew Holiday. Classic Kevin Durant baseline fadeaway jumper, 28-25. Bucks miss a shot. Shot clock's running out for the Nets. They got a full 24. James Harden, who's trying to prove that he's James Harden, instead of understanding that, bro, you're here for the Willis Reed effect. You're here to hold the ball. And I understand you don't have people that can handle the ball on the team. You have Mike James, Tyler Johnson. But, bro, they were letting Kevin Durant go one-on-one, whether against Drew or Chris or PJ. They were letting him do whatever he wants one-on-one for no reason, by the way. There was no one else on the Nets that were going to, do anything. Joe Harris was a fraud. Blake Griffin is not jumping over a Kia Soul anymore. They had nobody. James Harden doesn't have a leg. They didn't have anybody. So NBA coaches seem to become sticklers of what works for them, and they're kind of afraid to adjust. So Tibbs is not alone in that way. And you look at who are the coaches, who's the coach that's getting all the flowers right now? The guy who's adjusting. And it's Tyronn Lue. So at some point, you got to understand that there are things that you cannot do. You cannot shut down Trae Young in a 7-game series. There are things you can do, and you can limit the ways that he does it. And if you're just going to let a guy drive by you, go 2-on-1, kick to the corner, shoot threes, pick a strategy and go with it. Yep. Give him different looks. Could have Frank played a little bit more? Absolutely. Was Frank the Trae Young stopper? No. But to throw Reggie Bullock, who cannot out-hustle his foot speed. I love Reggie. He retweeted my song. But he cannot outrun his foot speed. He can't out-hustle his foot speed. He's 6'6". He's a stocky guard forward. He's not going to be able to get past that quick step by Trae. So I was a little disappointed. I was a little disappointed in the way that we attacked him, but it is what it is. Down the road, I hope we acquire someone who's better than the guys we had out there. And I do think Trae can get roughed up a little bit. You look at the way Ben Simmons or Matisse Thybulle guards him, just creates, some weird-looking possessions for them. And my thing with the Hawks is if you get them past their first look, they want to come down the floor, pick and pop, pick and roll, attack and go. If you get them moving the ball around and readjusting their looks, they're not getting off good shots. So they just want to get past the half court and go. So I felt like in game 2 and also in game 1 for stretches of game 1, I felt like we did that. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the gas to stop them in game 3, game 4, game 5. So that's how that went. I'm not afraid of Trae Young, though. I respect him, but I'm not afraid of him. And he's nowhere near Reggie Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's throw on put on that GM hat. Let's talk about the offseason now. Right. You got your chance to tell us who you would pursue and who you hope the Knicks, seal a deal on and acquire. So give me your potential additions and also give me a couple of subtractions from the roster.
All right. So I think there's 2 clear positions there's one clear position we have to either understand that we're going to have to spend money for a stopgap, or we are going to identify a young point guard who's going to be our point guard for the future. So there's 2 ways to go about it. The one way that a lot of people seem to want is the Lonzo Ball way, where we are saying we're going to pay him point guard, premium point guard money, and in hopes that he is who he is, plus an additional potential value that this guy is going to develop a jump shot, that he's going to get us alive in a fast break, he's going to be a heady defensive player, steals, what's not, bring more of a fast break element to the game. I'm not a fan of Lonzo Ball. I don't watch New Orleans Pelicans basketball. I proudly will never watch a New Orleans Pelicans basketball game. Maybe if Zion's on at 3:30 on ABC, I'll watch it, but I just don't watch them. But from what I see, I don't see enough dynamic shooting from Lonzo Ball. I want a floor manager. I want a game manager at point guard. If we have to pay Kyle Lowry 3 years, $80 million, look, man, you can't sit on the money forever. You can't sit on the money forever. I would not be opposed to bringing in a veteran point guard. If it's Kyle or Chris Paul, if we can get our hands on one of those two guys, if they break down and we were just wrong on it, I'll be willing to be wrong on those guys. Because those guys are yelling the huddles. Those guys are leaders. Whatever they lack in their youth, by being older guys, they have a wisdom that can be passed down to Randall, that can be passed down to Quickly, that could be passed down to RJ Barrett. So I want a leader as our point guard. As far as subtractions, Alec Burks played out of his mind at some points down the stretch. He was our most clutch player. He almost played himself into not the journeyman contract. He played himself into the multiple 3 to 4 year deal potentially. I don't want to go there with Alec. I like Alec Burks for a 1 year, 2 year re-up. I don't want to bring him back at premium dollars. So if Alec is going to get outbid, if someone's going to outbid for Alec, I'm not a big Alec Burks big money guy. I'll take him back on 1 to 2 years. I want to see Derrick Rose back as a backup point guard. Reggie, again, would be a guy that I'll take 1 year, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe $8 million. And as far as the free agent guys go, outside of the point guard, I like Norman Powell. I don't like Kelly Oubre. I don't want Kelly Oubre. I like Norman Powell. A lot of people don't like this guy because he's not an analytics guy and whatever. I like DeMar DeRozan. I think we lacked a piece of our offense that could, hey, go get us a bucket. You know what I mean? Go get to the line. Stop this run. I feel DeMar DeRozan has that, and I feel like he's being punished for his lack of being this new century guard. But he doesn't have to be that for this team. He would just have to be a half-court warrior for us. For 2 years, 2 years I would give him, not 3 years. So
do you think that's a little redundant though with RJ?
That's the big piece that someone brought that to my attention, that would come at these, that would kill the spacing of the floor, and RJ would pretty much kill the spacing. But here's the thing with RJ and with Tibbs. I don't feel like we are here to maximize RJ's potential at this point. I think Tibbs views RJ Barrett as a two-way player. In games where he's got it going, he'll play him 35, 40 minutes. In games where he sees that he doesn't have his jumper going, look, RJ kind of got transitioned into a three-point piece, in the corner, working off of Rose, working off of Randall. I don't think that this team is saying, all right, you had your year where you were sacrificing your personal development. Now we're going to give you the keys to the offense. I don't really feel that. So I'm not sitting on my hand. I love RJ, but I'm not sitting on my hands on a deal to say, oh, we got to make sure that we're developing RJ Barrett, because I don't see that. I don't see, I would love for that to happen. I've always been a fan of saying, if you give a point guard to the players that we have on our roster, a real point guard, all of these guys, all the deficiencies of these guys' games are going to be less, and what the potential of their game is going to come out. Like Obi, right? Obi with Derrick Rose was a completely different player. But if you throw Alec Burks as your leading point guard, he's going to miss him in the open court. So we definitely need a guy that can push the pace. We need a guy that can score the bucket. in the half court. I don't know what's available to us. That's the reality, guys. That me hypothesizing on who we could bring in. Our options are limited. We do. I'll say this. I'll recap my GM hat. This is what I'll say. The pieces that we have to move, the chess pieces that we have to move in this offseason are these 4 pieces. We have to make a decision on Obi Toppin. Can he play with Randall? We have to make a decision on Mitchell Robinson. Are we cutting bait with his value, or do we feel like this guy could be a center for the next 5 to 10 years? And we have 19 and 21. And if you want, you could throw 30, I think it's the 35th pick in there.
32.
We have 32. So we have 5 pieces that are attractive pieces to either move up in the draft or acquire a ready-made player for Tibbs. Those are the pieces that if you tell me we traded that for a better draft pick or a better player, I can live with that. If you're going to sell me on what player that is, I can live with that. Obviously, Kevin Knox and Frank can go in the deal as well. But people need to understand, if you're talking about Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, or Zion. People talk about Zion reuniting with RJ. You're not getting Zion without getting rid of RJ. And I'm telling you right now, I'm in a purist stage with RJ. I don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, let Zion come here in 2-3 years when, like, David Griffin has nothing to work with. Right now, David Griffin he is a dirty, dirty dude, that David Griffin. He's not gonna give us Zion for free.
No.
So let's wait, let's continue building a sustainable winning culture. And like I said, Leon Rose has a big responsibility going forward here because he has Tibbs. He has a window of having Tibbs, and he has a window of having this young players with cap room. He has to pick his spot. He cannot listen to get involved in the rumors and lose sight of what he's able to acquire because he put all his eggs in Damian Lillard is disgruntled, or Luka doesn't necessarily want to sign long term, and then watch Norman Powell go to Boston. Not Norman probably won't go to Boston, but I'm saying Norman Powell go to someone in our conference when we could have signed him long term. We have to identify a player that might be worth the bag this year, and not going to win a championship, fine, but we cannot sit on this money and go 1-year deal with the 2-year option. We're better than that this year. We did that last year because we weren't better than that. This year, we can acquire a Bogdan. Bogdan went to the Hawks because he didn't want to come here. Gordon Hayward went for the money in Charlotte because he didn't want to come here. Now those guys are going to want to come here. So you can't sit on your hands, sit on your money. I know it's a long answer, but it's finding that sweet spot, finding that player that helps other players on the floor. I agree, DeMar DeRozan may not be that guy. He may not be that fit, or Kyle Lowry may not be that guy, may not be that fit, but it's that kind of bag that I'm willing to spend as long as it's a tested player in the playoffs, a leader, and a guy that fits that point guard necessity, and that's that wing player lack of skill where it's Reggie Bullock starting every night and he can't create his own shot and Trae Young is guarding him stress-free for 48 minutes.
Hey, I got a hypothetical for you. So say the Hawks win tonight, right, and the Sixers go out. I hear rumors that, management might not be too happy with their current core. What do you think about, if that happens, us going after Ben Simmons? He fits that point guard. No?
No. It's over. It's over. The allure of Ben Simmons is over. You cannot have a guard in today's game who cannot hit free throws and cannot shoot threes. It's over. Ben Simmons has pretty much exposed himself as a guy that you cannot depend on to handle the ball in the last 2 minutes, 5, 6 minutes of the game. Because as great as a defender as he is, and as great as a penetrator as he is, all I have to do is make him pay at the line, and that makes my coach go into this world. It's like having a really good backup quarterback in the NFL. I would rather my backup suck and just throw all my, like, people were talking, I'm a Jet fan. People are like, let's acquire Nick Foles. I don't want Nick Foles anywhere near Zach Wilson. I want Captain James Morgan as my backup quarterback. I want the weirdo as my backup quarterback. I don't want Ben Simmons. It creates a problem that I don't want to deal with. And it's not like this guy's going to develop a three-pointer. He's probably not going to develop a free throw. He's not Giannis where it's acceptable for a tall guy to be kind of shoddy with his free throws. This is a point guard. You know, I don't want that. If you're talking about, you know, acquiring a bad contract and just seeing what you got and running with it for the last 2-3 years of the contract, I don't know who that guy is. The guy that comes to, I thought you were going with Tobias. Tobias is hot and cold. You know, I feel like Tobias Harris is a guy that needs to be the best or the second best player for him to fully be comfortable in his game. He can't be the third best player. He needs to be the 2, but I don't know if he's good enough to be the second best player. So yeah, Kyle, I want no parts of Ben Simmons. 0. I'd rather for the sheer New York love of it, I'd rather acquire Kemba Walker and just have the crossover swish moment at the Garden than have the Ben Simmons, put him out of the game, he can't shoot free. I don't want that. I do not want that.
I agree. Don't want him.
So, John Wall then.
No. I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, I think John Wall's days in the NBA are not numbered as they feel. I feel if you get him off Houston and you get him into a winning team, I think he's somewhere between Kemba Walker and Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say about John Wall. I think he's got a sweet spot. I think he could go to a competitive team and still attack the lane, get guys involved, be a serviceable point guard, push for 18 and 10 kind of player. But, you know, he's a year off his injury, first year back. He was in a wasteland of a franchise. But, you know, we're past that, guys. We're definitely past that type of move. We're not a team that's desperate. That when you're acquiring John Wall for assets, you're a team that's desperate. If you're a Lakers team and you want to get rid of Kyle Kuzma and you want to get a point guard to work with LeBron and AD, that might be a guy that makes sense. You know, he can't shoot, John Wall. That's his kind of MO, that he can't shoot. But yeah, I would see John Wall as being serviceable on a contender. And he's in that DeMarcus Cousins kind of range of his days are not numbered. People will always go after John Wall. It's a matter of getting rid of that contract. So I don't want that. I don't want to deal with that. Nah. Free money, I'll take him, but not for that contract.
Well, you know, he might get bought out, so you know that changes the complexion.
If it's restructured and it's you're selling me on we're getting him at a discount. But again, I really think that we're past that as a franchise. I think when we had Scott Perry and Steve Mills and all their draft blunders of Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox
and trading up for Brasdeikis over Trey Mann or Terrence Mann.
Right. I mean, once you get into that, I can't fully. Yeah, you know, it sucks, but you know, it's like saying the Patriots are wizards for drafting Tom Brady. Like they passed on him for 5 rounds before they picked him. You know what I mean? I can't. Once you get into that second round, I can't blame him. But when you're
crapshoot,
yeah, when you're picking Frank Ntilikina over Donovan Mitchell, when you're picking Knox over Bridges,
Porter Jr.
Porter Jr. too, that hurts. But at least they had a concept of what they were doing. They were trying to get long and they were trying to get fast. And I think this team is built still in that framework of youth, length with Mitch and RJ and Obi. Obviously Randall's not a long guy, but Quickly is a long guy. He can switch out, you know what I mean? So he can play two positions. I'm right outside the Garden State Parkway, so they're having a motorcycle race here. But fun times for the Knicks to talk about all these players. But I think Kyle might be caught up in the toxic Knicks fan land, because I don't know why you're mentioning John Wall and Ben Simmons to me, because I thought we were past that.
See, here's
Look,
the
man,
thing.
you've only come on one time.
I just like to like poke at people, right?
Yeah, right.
One of our guys on the regular show, Slice. He's a big Frank fan. I was actually a pretty big Frank fan for a while too. I like to poke at him.
See,
That's just what I do.
Here's the thing I don't understand about Frank people at this point, though. It's over. Like, it's over. It's over. Like, whatever you want to look. I think Frank Ntilikina. Remember when Frank played against Sacramento this year at home? And he had those steals, and he could play. No one's saying that Frank Ntilikina can't play 15 to 20 minutes and wreak havoc and hit a three here and there and be an energy guy. He'll do that for another franchise. It's over. It's over. He didn't play for Tibbs when there was a clear weakness. It's over. They don't identify him as something that is a guy that they can trust to run an offense. They don't trust him to knock down shots. It's over. So even if you like Frank, you're going to have to understand you're going to like him from a distance. I don't understand the Frank hive at this point. It's over.
Yep.
It is.
I echo that sentiment.
Coke, you were never anywhere in on that, man.
Nah, you know what? During the early part of the pre-draft process when he was drafted, I was intrigued by the wingspan, the size, and all that. But then when I dived into the footage, just he didn't have the fluidity. He didn't have the the wiggle to his game. I knew he wasn't a point guard pretty early in the process, and I jumped off quick fast. But other people, I think they just fell in love with the metrics, man. And
Frank needs to be a point guard to play 30 minutes.
Yeah.
He needs to facilitate. He needs to break down defenses. He cannot play on the wing and play 30 minutes. And he's getting into the point where you're throwing somebody into your rotation that can max out at a good 15, 20 minutes. We can't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? We put way too much on Derrick Rose. We put way too much on Julius Randle. Now we finally got a little replacement, a little reprieve with Obi Toppin for Randall. We saw that. You can throw Obi out there for more than 4 minutes, but you cannot throw Elfrid Payton out there for more than 4 minutes. You cannot throw you cannot throw Frank out there for more than 4 or 5 minutes because the offense suffers. So
he's a one-way player.
Yeah,
one-way player.
You would need him to develop another level of facilitation, another level of breaking down the offense. And again, I just think at this point we're past that. If we're going to be wrong on Lonzo Ball, if we're going to be wrong on Kyle Lowry, if we're going to be wrong on a player we acquire, let us be. That's a premium player. Let us be wrong there. We do not have to be wrong on the scrap heap of the point guard, Jeff Teagues of the world. Remember where we were last year talking about Jeff Teague and acquiring Emmanuel Mudiay's, and we're done.
Oh my God,
we're done. Let's move forward. We can go Lonzo's a bust route or Lonzo's the truth. We can go there, and we could lose at Lonzo and still have a good future. I don't want to lose at John Wall anymore. I don't want to lose at Ben Simmons. I don't want to lose at a failed prospect of Frank Ntilikina. We can't readjust the goalposts for Frank Ntilikina. We got Frank to be this, Nicholas Batum style Frenchman, witty, heady player that was going to be a great point guard. He's not that, and we just need to cut bait.
All right, so, speaking of prospects, we got pick 19 and 21. I don't know how deep of a diver you are into the, college prospects or international prospects, but is there anyone realistically in our range that you think that would be a good fit for the team if we stood pat and selected at 19 and 21?
I don't know I don't really get into the prospects until they're right in front of me. I do watch a bit of college basketball because I do think college, despite the move to get people in here at 19, I do believe that the college game enforces a brain trust of actual basketball that guys definitely need to learn. There's a guy that comes up a lot for us, and it's James Booknight on UConn.
That's Kyle's boy.
Yeah. So there's a guy there. I think if we do not acquire a point guard for some reason, and we have a trio of Vildoza, Rose, and Booknight, and hopes that Booknight could be a scoring point guard that can get in the lane, create his own shot, that might be a guy that I'd be interested in. But at the end of the day, at 19 and 21, I'm not convinced with those picks bunched up there together and the amount of roster spots that we're working with and the amount of cap space we have, I do not think that we're drafting 2 first-rounders. So I think we're using 19 and 21 to move up into the top 15. Maybe using a Kevin Knox, using the 32nd pick. I think it would be wise to identify a player that we think can play late in the stretches of game. I felt spacing this year was a problem. If we can't get a point guard, if we can't get a center, a beefy center, wing would be nice. Top 15 wing or a stretch 4, a guy who can get out and hit jumpers. You know what I mean? A guy like a Lauri Markkanen style player where you're working with a point guard, you can pick and pop, you can pick and roll, you can create a threat on the court for the opposing team's defender that they're not used to getting out there. Just a wild card style player. Look at Quickly, he adds a dynamic aspect to our offense. Obi adds a dynamic aspect to our offense. Can we add another offensive player from 19 and 21? If we cannot, I would try to move those picks for a ready-made NBA player or get into the top 15 to get a guy who can score. I think the time for us to get a two-way player, I think we acquired those guys, right? I think we acquired RJ Barrett. I think we acquired that with Randall's being a all defensive second team player. We got enough two-way players. Now it's time to get specialty guys who are just talented and can put the ball in the hoop. So that's what I'm looking for. I know like Moses is a guy. The guy from Baylor, the point guard from Baylor is a guy.
Davion Mitchell, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, yeah, we don't know. We don't know what's going on yet. Free agency hasn't hit. We already saw Kemba Walker got dealt with the 16th pick to Oklahoma City. So there's going to be a lot of moves from here up until late June, early July that kind of, influence the way that we think about the draft. I would just say I'm really happy that we had Dallas's pick because it doesn't force us into a 19th, throw your hands up in the air. We don't know if this guy's going to be. If we don't think we can get the guy we want at 19, we can use 21 and 32 in a Knox or next year's pick and move up. We can always have flexibility. And I feel like the 1-year deals we have with Burks, I'm not going to say Peyton, but the 1-year deals we have with Burks, with Bullock, with Noel, I feel like that gave us the opportunity to not lock in long-term with anybody and reassess at the next year's free agency draft talent acquisition period. So kudos to Leon Rose, kudos to Scott Perry for doing that. They kept us flexible and we're ready to go. We're ready to improve.
I'm pretty sure at this point, adding Knox to a package would make us move down in the draft, not up.
Give Kevin Knox credit for hustling this year, adding a little bit of a motor to his game, little bit of a quick release to his game. At the end of the day, Kevin Knox cannot functionally dribble on the basketball court. And until he adds that dribble drive to his game, he is limited to these weird in-between one-hand floaters because he can't go up to the rim and go strong, and being relegated to the corner. So, again, if you're Tibbs and you're looking at Frank and you're looking at Knox, I'm not throwing you in the game for 15, 20 minutes. I need to know that you can get hot and go 25, 30. You know what I mean? I just don't think he has interest in guys figuring it out. And what I said at the end of game 4, right, when we were getting blown out in game 4, down 3-1, I feel, watching Obi Toppin, I feel if you gave him 30 minutes, I feel he could figure out his game as an NBA player. I felt like working with the 12-minute, 15-minute increments, he didn't know if he was a three-point shooter. And then they said, stop shooting threes, bro. You're just going to dribble handoff and go to the corner and play defense and rebound. And what did he do? He played his ass off as a defender. He got rebounds. He worked well in the fast break. And he developed a fake dribble handoff drive to the lane, working with a left-hand finish. Shooting with confidence from his spots on the floor, not when he's just open at the top of the arc. So I think Obi can figure it out next year, but I don't think we're looking to, and that this goes with the pick too. I don't think we're going to draft a guy that doesn't have insane talent. Like, he has to have insane raw talent that we can just redshirt for a year, or he's going to be a ready-made player. Anything between those two things, I don't think we're attacking at all. I don't think they have to be a guy that was a troublemaker kind of dude, whatever, and he fell to us at 19 and he's just too good to pass up and we'll just figure it out in the culture. You know what I mean? Or he's just ready to go. Ready to go. He shoots threes incredibly well. This is your guy,
Okay.
All right, so let's pivot over to the NBA championship, man.
Yeah,
Who's winning?
Who's
winning it all?
winning right now?
who's winning? That's what I want to know.
Who's taking it home? Nobody
I think
knows.
All right, so the Nets are gone. Let's just marinate on that. The Nets are gone. I was going to say that if the Nets are full strength, they obviously are the best team. The second team at full strength, and I got vaccinated, and I'm all on board with the majority rules. When there's things that I don't understand, I'm all on board with majority rules. Let's go for it. There's no reason why Chris Paul, in my opinion, can't just get a thermometer, and if he's not sick, he could play. So if Chris Paul can suit up and play, I think the Suns are the best team remaining right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think they're America's team. Who America's gonna back? Unlikely with a Phoenix market, but I do think that they have such a deep bench. They have guys who can score late in the game. They have guys who are gritty and know their roles, whether it's a Cameron Payne or a Jay Crowder or a DeAndre Ayton's tough dude. People called him a bust. This guy he's a good player. Bridges, shooting 3 and D. I think they have assets all over the court. Clippers are hot. I don't know what's going on in the game right now with the Clippers and the Suns.
Yeah.
But I don't.
The Suns are up 5 right now. 4.5 games left.
Yeah. So they're home. Home teams win in the playoffs. They're defending their home court. I know that the Clippers are riding a high right now with Paul George being their leader and Terrence Mann showing up big and Reggie Jackson playing well. But teams peak. When they're hot, they peak. And when they peak and they drop off, they fall badly. You know what I mean? So I think the Bucks peaked. They cannot run guys out like Giannis was in uncharted territory, playing 45 minutes at a clip. And I just don't see whoever's winning that Sixers Hawks game tonight, I don't see the Bucks beating those teams because the Sixers and the Hawks have a bench and they have star power that matches Chris Middleton and Giannis. So I think that the Hawks have more shooting than the Bucks. And I know people think I'm crazy, but I think that the Hawks would beat the Bucks in a 7-game series. And I think the Sixers would beat the Bucks in a 7-game series. And with that said, I don't think that those teams are more talented than the Suns. So if I had to say who's going to win the series, I think who's going to win the championship, I would think it's the Suns. They're 8-1, going on 9-1 at the time of this recording. Chris Paul can't have COVID forever. If he comes back in this series, I would root for the Suns to win. I think the idea that you need an NBA championship to cement your legacy is really overplayed. But if there's somebody that really gets it and then gets to that level of, wow, Chris Paul, that was a Hall of Fame great player, all-time great championship winner. That'd be great. That would be great for the NBA to have Chris Paul in the finals. So I don't really want to see any other team win it. I think that they're the best team full strength. So if for my money, I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns.
So I'm going to preface this by saying I do want Giannis to win. I want the Bucks to win, but if not them, then the Suns. So I am rooting for them. I said this to Coke before the show started. Is Chris Paul getting COVID not the most Chris Paul thing to happen? Right? He always has something going on in the playoffs that he can't finish him out.
Yeah.
I just don't understand the protocol. The protocol has been tightened up across other professional sports. I feel like we're going off a protocol right now that was responsible to a previous era. We're in a near herd immunity era. And the idea that if we remove Chris Paul from the floor, now Paul George is not at risk to get COVID. How did it doesn't, to me, 2 and 2 doesn't make sense. I think the players are at their own individual risk of getting COVID. I think you're packing people into an arena. My family members were just out in Arizona. No one's wearing a mask out there. The idea that everybody out there is vaccinated is not real. I don't want to be a snitch, but people aren't vaccinated in these arenas. You know what I mean? They're doing the old what's the dude from the Jonah Hill movie, McLovin. They're doing the whole McLovin routine. They're McLovin vaccinated. I'll say that. So I understand that it's a very sensitive subject, and you don't want to sacrifice someone's health for a game. But if all the players are vaccinated and Chris Paul is vaccinated, there's enough of a loophole there for him to just, as long as he's not sick, I don't know. I just want Chris Paul back on the floor. That's what I'm saying. Put them all back in the bubble and take the fans out of it, because it's a crime for Chris Paul to miss playoff games because he's sitting in a hotel with 97 fever. It's just it's bad. It's a bad look. Get better, Chris Paul. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry that I came off as insensitive, but just get better, Chris Paul. That's what I'm saying.
At this point, I want to toss it to Tia. Do you have anything else to throw at Poppa Left, or are you good?
I'm good. I mean, he really went over everything.
He went in.
Yeah, so I'm good.
Respect. Tia, I thought you were bailing out. I thought you were bailing out.
Anything else that you?
I thought you were bailing out on Knicks Twitter, but it kept bringing you back. Like the old school sample. Every time trying to leave, something keeps pulling you back.
Yeah, I did say I wasn't coming back. I got annoyed with the whole toxic stuff, and I didn't say I wasn't coming back. I just said I needed a break. That's what I needed, a break. So I took a little break, but of course I was looking. I just didn't say anything.
Lurking.
Yeah, there it is. I was lurking.
Lurking.
I was,
Knicks lurk enthusiast.
I was lurking. Yes, I'm back.
We're definitely happy you came back. You're holding it down. I really appreciate your questions, and Coke, I really appreciate your questions. Kyle, it was awesome you butting in on the Joe Rogan tip. You know what I mean? The fact checker behind the scenes. I appreciate you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun, and it seemed like it went fluently. So I can't wait for it to
No
go
doubt.
live. Check it out.
No doubt. Hey, man, look, man, for the fans, I'm going to throw this out there. Anybody who follows the No Blood, No Foul podcast, when they hear that intro, outro song, they know that's yours truly, Coke. So, yo, man, I'm going to put it out there right now. If there's ever a track, would you mind doing a feature with Poppa Left and Coke on a Knicks-related song? Or something not Knicks-related, for that matter?
Nah, we did. I think I was saying this to Jay Boogie. Shout out to Jay Boogie, who was featured on the KnickSet Anthem. Yeah, we definitely gonna get up. You know what I mean? We're definitely gonna work together and push some real bars. And I really think that there's an opportunity for me right now, because I'm tapped into so many people across Knicks Twitter, and every now and then I will share some of my non-Knicks related music. But that sounds so weird, but I would just say that I was walking around my apartment before I wrote the F. Trae Young song, and I was trying to write music, like real music, and I just kept thinking about Knicks related stuff. So I was like, you know what? If you build it, they will come, kind of thing. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If people want me to rap about the Knicks and they enjoy it, and they want you to rap about the Knicks, and we can get in on that energy together and give something to the people that they want, you know what I mean? I definitely will never deny that opportunity. So we definitely can get together and make something happen.
All right, there it is, man. You guys heard it. You heard it here first. So we can expect some heat coming up in the near future from Coke, Poppa Left, you know what I'm saying? KnicksFanTV, and No Blood, No Foul. That's what it is. All right, so before we close this thing out, just tell everyone where they can find your music. Drop your Twitter handle for anyone who's not privy to how to find you on Twitter, and anything else that you want to speak on before we close this out.
I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. To all the people who are confused on this day, and they feel like spurned and they feel annoyed by this day. I send you my love and my energy, and to remind you to go over to somebody who did step up and who did come into your life, a father figure, and give them the credit, because we all were raised by some balance of wise men and women in our lives, and we both need both perspectives. So I want to salute all the father and the father figures out there today, and it's the meaning for my namesake, which is Poppa Left, at Poppa Left on Instagram, at POPPALEFT. My website's back up. It's gonna go right to its regular domain, but for now it's poppaleft.squarespace.com. So if you go on Squarespace, Poppa Left, you can find me there. And on Twitter, it's Live Like Lefty, LIVELIKELEFTY, Live Like Lefty, or Live Like Lefty, however you want to use that. Couldn't get Poppa Left. Some country singer has it. Probably the dude who was doing DMX covers at the Barclays in Game 5. So I don't have the Poppa Left on Twitter. I can't acquire that. So it's Live Like Lefty on Twitter. And I would just say my parting message, in the spirit of Tia with her writing and Coke with his podcast, I would just say that, continue battling with your own gifts and getting better at the things that come passionately to you, not naturally to you, but passionately. It's things that you love to work hard on, because no one wants to work for something that they don't enjoy and they don't get anything out of. So I think life is a journey to find your passion and to work through it. And if you can identify that, and you found it, think whatever body of energy that you get it from, God, the universe, whatever it is, and be thankful that you have it. And if you're listening to this and you don't have it, always feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty good at identifying people's gifts. And you could always DM me. We could always chat, wrap it up. But you know, I would just put the pressure on you. You know, don't go through this life and think that you're not special. You're definitely special. You all have a talent. You all have a natural gift, and you all have something that may not be natural to you, but something that you're passionate about, and you want to work at it. So I think that is something that you cannot go through life without identifying, and you're going to miss out on a lot of fun and a lot of naturalized success by doing something that you love and loving what you do, which is why I'm here, why I got the opportunity with KnicksFanTV. Shout out to CP of KnicksFanTV, and we're doing what we love. Knicks Twitter. We're out here every day, off season. There's no such thing. No such thing. So peace, y'all. I really appreciate y'all for having me. I'm a bit of a talker. So I appreciate you guys for sticking by me and giving me the time and asking great questions at Poppa Left for all the support. Thank you.
All right, there it is, man. This has been another edition of NBNF Views, the No Blood, No Foul interview edition presented by Real GM. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to stay in tune. And yo, take this interview and watch it through, because the next time we talk, it might be about you. And we out.
I like that.
Till we run that clock out. MSG Mecca, our house. NYC forever, mob out. Kip trip, Clyde Clout, Clyde Clout.